Hi, welcome to a new episode of The Empowering Moment, רגע מעצים. I'm Avraham Tzur. Today's episode is all about radical honesty and my experience in radical honesty workshop. I will share that I heard about radical honesty several years ago during a trip to Amsterdam with some friends. I met a guy in this trip who had previously dealt with depression and big challenges in his relationship with his parents, and he told me that one of the biggest things that helped him was actually participating in a radical honesty workshop. In the episode, I'm very happy to host Grin, who guided me in a radical honesty workshop in Austria. Please remember to rate and review the podcast. It helps others to find it. Have a pleasant and empowering listening. We all lie like hell. It wears us out, and it's the major source of all human stress. Lying kills people. Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Moment of Empowerment. This was a quote from the book of Brad Blanton, Radical Honesty, How to Transform Your Life by Telling the Truth. And I'm very excited to interview Grin, which is a radical honesty trainer candidate, a meditation teacher, and also a songwriter. Let's be honest, from the beginning, that we already did an episode, right? Last week.
Yeah. And I fucked up, or like
Genau,
my
exactly.
recording didn't work.
Yes. So now we're having another chance. I want to show what is the biggest thing that I took from radical honesty.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing things. First of all, what is radical honesty? Sean, hi, how are you? Yes, I'm on speed. I'm on speed.
Yeah,
Relax.
like really fast.
Hi, how are you? Let's explain first. Really, what is radical honesty?
Yeah. So radical honesty is, as you said, originally a book that Brad Blanton wrote, who's a Gestalt therapist, and he started giving workshops and wrote this book and elaborating on the idea that sharing honestly and telling the truth, showing up how you are, expressing yourself, your emotions, and all these things are amongst the most important things for overcoming your inner difficulties, right? So he saw that his clients, the clients that proceeded best in therapy, were the ones that were sharing the truth more, speaking more honestly, in their life, and also with their parents, going back to their parents and these things. And nowadays, radical honesty mostly is a workshop format, a training, a communication training, and a community of people that want to be more honest. So you have a group of trainers and trainer candidates like me, who give workshops, retreats, host meetups, gatherings, all sorts of formats where you can come and discover how it is to be more honest, like a experiment with honesty. And it is basically, you could also say, it's group therapy, right? Coming together in a group of 10, 12 or up to 16 people and talking more honestly and showing up how you are, and then being coached, supported by the trainers, can be a very transformative experience.
And I want to ask you about Sean before and after the first workshop, or the training, or everything that's connected to radical honesty. How did you change?
How did I change?
Yes.
Well, I think it's the biggest thing is for me communicating boundaries clearer, right? So saying no to things. We work with anger a lot, expression of anger, saying I resent you, or I'm angry at you for this and that and the other. And that helps to get clearer on what you want and what you don't want, right? And so for me, I'm like a do-gooder somehow, a helper and friendly guy. And so for me, the standard go-to thing is like thinking, this person doesn't mean it that way. I can understand it. So I'm going to be flexible and not say something too soon, and give it time. And radical honesty helped me to be a little bit more firm and say things, even if they're supposedly small things that I don't like. That's a big one that changed for me. And also a big thing that changed for me is the way I go ahead and create my life somehow, like create the workshops that I do and offerings, and by speaking them out sooner than before. Before I would have thought like I have to have everything figured out, and only then can I come out with things. And nowadays I see how much value there is in communicating more and more, like with my friends, with my partner, with my colleagues, to like also accept that maybe I will go back on something, like then say, oh, I've decided differently. But that's also a process of being honest, right? To say like, right now I feel like this, and then being able to say in 3 days, oh, now I changed my mind, There's many things I could be talking about, but those
I'm
are
very
the two
curious
things
about
that come.
you said about the anger. You were not an angry person before.
Well, like I thought, like until my second son was born, I have 3 kids. I thought I'm like this absolutely non-angry, super like halfway enlightened person, and I already saw, with my son challenging me already at a young age, that I'm actually more angry than I thought, or that I've never learned to use anger, let's say, productively. Like, so already there I saw that, and I started working with anger in different modalities, like emotional meditations, you could call it, or learning how to let it through the body, expressing this way. But radical honesty helped me to work with anger in a communicative way, in like an everyday way. I don't have to go and beat up a pillow or go into the forest to shout out or go, or I don't know, do kung fu or something, which are all fine things. But in radical honesty, it helps to actually bring this anger into the relationships,
Mm-hmm. So whoever listens to this right now, I want them to understand what does it means to be angry through radical honesty. What does it mean for you right now? Let's say you're angry about something, okay? Someone. What would you do according to radical honesty?
Well, what we try to do is find a way to communicate exactly what we're angry about. So we practice differentiating what actually happens, what we can actually perceive, and thoughts that we have. So then, for example, let's say I would be angry at you like we see each other and you walk out of the room, right? And instead of saying I'm angry at you for how little respect you have, and then also saying like you never listen to me, you don't care about me, all these thoughts, all these judgments, I would just say I resent you for walking out of the room in the moment you did, and say that with a strong voice, and then notice what happens in my body. So we try to be specific and be sharing what happens with us. Like then I might also share like, oh, now I notice tension in my chest, or I notice my breath is becoming lighter again. And then I might also share, oh, I'm scared that now you're angry at me. So to keep communicating what is happening with me. And whereas if I would tell you I'm angry at you for being an asshole, like for never listening to me, then we would just start a good old argument. Probably you would be like, no, I listen to you, and no, and then it would be two minds fighting. We want to avoid this mind battle that is the usual way of arguments.
And how do you avoid it?
You avoid it by talking about yourself and by being specific.
Talking about yourself, how do you feel in your body, and
Exactly.
being specific about what makes you angry.
Exactly, about what you experience or experienced, and naming that, and even if you have thoughts, then saying, okay, and I'm thinking X, Y, Z, and create the story, blah blah blah. But to be aware that those are just thoughts, right? Because thoughts, like we don't really control them. They're happening in our head, and everybody has their own reality they create in their head. Whereas the sensory reality we can kind of mostly agree upon, like we can agree upon that you maybe walked out of the room at a certain point, or you took up the phone while I was talking to you. So these things we can agree upon, but we cannot agree upon, or often don't agree upon, the meaning that we create from these things. So fighting about the meaning is not very, what I would say, productive.
Mm-hmm. So if I want something, one thing that the listeners will take from this episode is to be more connected to the feelings in your body, and in the body. And I also told you that last week. Really, like, this is one of the most amazing, and I said it to everyone that I know, how much is important to wait a second before you say something. 1 second, go to your body and feel what's going on. Do you have like a heartbeat? Do you sweat? Do you feel like warmth?
Yeah, that's so we think that actually the body is telling the truth more than the head, right? So
I truly believe that, yeah.
Yeah, so even if you think you're not angry, for example, or even if you think you're not afraid or not sad, if the body is creating these symptoms, that are clear, like if your fists are clenched and your chest is tight, then you might be angry. And the same with other emotions, you can track your emotions in the body and see like, what's actually happening there. And even if you're not clear upon the emotion, and you can still express what is happening in your body. And then we use the body to see whether our inner experience changes when we speak. So we try to use language in a way to get over things. We say to get over ourselves, or our hang-ups, our shit. And you notice whether you get over it when your inner state, your body state changes. So if you just communicate from your head, you might be talking all day long, but your body is still tense and nothing much changes. Whereas if you express your resentment or your appreciation or your fear clearly and congruently in the way that you experience it, something will shift in your body. And that's what we're up to, right? So that's also in the workshop.
This is really important what you said right now, and I want to repeat it because it's so important. When you express, like, I'm mad right now, my chest, my heart is beating really fast, I'm sweating, all my body is like crunched, I don't know what. And then while you talk and while you say that, your body relaxes. Yeah. Which is like this really good method to relax your body.
It's true.
Just by saying, wait a second, like I'm sweating right now, my heart beats really quick. To be connected to your body, it's kind of a mindfulness exercise. Just to be connected first to your body and then to express. And you said something really beautiful. The body tells you the truth, you can say whatever you want, I forgive you, everything is fine, but inside maybe you feel still like tense or something else. That means that there is something still there. But I have a question for you. The body never lies?
No, not in that regard, not regarding emotions, like I wouldn't make a new rule out of it, but I think that you can pretty much trust your body as far as it goes for what your experience is, right? So it's not like that the body will be able to tell us what the experience of the other person is. We have to be cautious with that. Like, actually, an interesting thing you said, forgiveness, right? So we talk about whole body forgiveness, which means actual forgiveness happens once your body relaxes with that person. So we can always track how we are in regards to a person, how our body is when we're around that person,
Well, this is so funny. You have a few exercises like for radical honesty. One of them is which I said it's obvious, complete unfinished business from the past. I said to myself, of course, everybody knows. If you have some shit from your past, take care of it, go to that person or do something about it. And I was like, I don't know if I even want to talk about it because it's so obvious, this kind of exercise or this kind of advice. But then I thought to myself, actually, I have a friend who did something. I told him something and he told it to another person. Although I said, don't tell that, okay? Don't say that. Yeah. And he said he didn't really said sorry. He wasn't really sorry about it. And I was kind of, I told him that I forgive him, but I still, my body is really like tense and I feel bad and I don't, and I got distance from this person. Actually, also in the radical honesty workshop, I felt mad. I felt mad in the workshop itself still. And I thought to myself, okay, my body tells me something, okay? Something is unfinished. I need to talk with this person again and express that. But you know, many people, including myself, are very afraid. Okay, we were going to be mad. We're going to tell a person A, B, C is going to be offended. Maybe you also want to finish the friendship or whatever.
So are you asking me something?
Yeah, but actually, I have an answer. Which you, I think, said in the workshop. You're not responsible for the emotions of others. But I want you to also, like many people that listen to this also will say, okay, I'm scared. I'm not able to say, okay, so what is your answer for that? Yeah.
Well, one thing is it's good to have support, right? From other people that are truth tellers. Or from trainers or something, like for challenging situations, that you can come back to another person that is supportive and talk about it. That's one thing I want to share, to not think that you're out there all alone, trying to be more honest.
So just to explain, Radical Honesty have like many like groups and platforms that you can also share with other people about like extreme, can I say extreme? Yeah, let's say extreme situation when you're really when it's really hard to tell something to the other person.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is one way, and the other.
And the other thing is to frame what you want to do. So if you're meeting up with a friend and you're like, hey, I still have some things that I want to tell you, to not just go ahead and just blurt it all out and be super angry at them and then be surprised that they react however, but you can also say, look, something is still bothering me, like would you have some time to listen to me, and after I've spoken, I'm willing to listen to you. I'm not going to leave you standing in the cold. And then also to say, I want to express these things because I want to get over them and then be more connected to you. So kind of give your sharing a framework, and then as you share all of your experience, not only that you're angry at X, Y, Z, but maybe also that right now in this moment you're afraid of their reaction and you feel this and that, and then go from there, not so much from a head idea of the list of things that you want to get rid of. So.
Well, that was beautiful. Not only to say, listen, you hurt me by saying this to that, but also to share, I'm afraid we're going to that this friendship is going to end. I'm like sharing everything that goes around in your body, everything that comes up, every emotion, everything together. This is radical honesty, actually.
Exactly. And one other very important thing is to stick around. So what we want to do is, like, we want to express ourselves, even if it's more challenging things, right? And even if it's more intense emotions, but we also want to stick around for the aftermath. So what we don't want to do is just puke on somebody and then run away, right? Instead, we say, look, I'm going to speak now and I want you to listen, and I will stay around for you to speak afterwards, right? And even if after the conversation things are still not super good, then let's talk again next week, so it's about relationship. It's about getting closer in the end, like even if that first means that you have a sort of fight, it's about getting closer. And I mean, that's not something that we invented, everybody that has a good working relationship, partnership, knows that you have to kind of talk about things and stick around until you have it solved. It's just that we in the radical honesty world, we're kind of working on the language and on the congruent expression, and have a little bit more background there and some insights in how this can be done well, like completion or clearing conversations can be done well, I mean, it's never clean, it's human relationship and communication, especially when emotions come in, is like always going to be a little messy. And you can practice. So that's where the whole where workshops and meetups and retreats come in to give you a space to practice more of that. And because out there in the so-called real world, people might not be so understanding and might not be on the same page with wanting to be honest. So when you're at a workshop, you have like a group of people that all want to be honest, so you can experience yourself in a different way.
This is so important what you said right now. First of all, I think everybody could take from it. I think I consider myself a good listener, you know. I let the person speak after I spoke. But many people don't do that, okay? But I really liked it, and I think I will take it also to my personal life, also to share. Listen, I'm going to say something right now, and I'm going to share something that I'm mad about. After I finish, I will let you also say whatever you want to say. Just, I think, wow, this is an amazing sentence, and just to say it in relationship or everything.
And one more important thing is that it might be a little difficult to apply, but that is important, is to take the tempo out of the whole thing, the speed.
The speed.
So oftentimes when you get emotional and the other person gets emotional, you can get fast, and then the other person is talking and you're talking, and you kind of spiral into some kind of, and then you say something that you're not so aware of, and then the other person reacts, you know, bam, 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 and then it's like a very quick table tennis match, tick, 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 you know. And what we try to do is reduce the speed, you know, like feel your body, say what you have to say. If possible, for the other person to not speak for a little while and just listen. Now, that's more available in a workshop setting or with certain people. Some people might be reactive, but still, that, like, to have that as a goal, to be like, hey, I'm talking now. Please just take a little while to listen to me. And because
what happens when the stuff that he says are really like difficult to hear? You know, and your body's like, I'm hurting right now, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the art. So what we practice in the workshops is, for one, we practice to learn to speak things out that we are not used to speaking out, and then maybe see like, wow, we can actually, the world doesn't end, right? So, and the other thing is also we practice to listen to things that might be challenging for us. And so it's kind of like a training for our nervous system to contain more challenging inner experiences, emotions, and the nervous system responses.
So just to explain, if I'm on the other side and somebody else is saying like hard stuff towards me, I should, like, you don't like the word should, I know that. Yeah. But it's better if I just listen, and if it's really hard and all my body screams, I can also like just talk to myself. Okay, I feel right now very tense. I feel like my heartbeat is really fast. Yeah, that will also help me to calm, right?
So you can, as you say, the should word is a little difficult. You can always say, look, I cannot listen anymore. Like, I need to say something right now. And then you say your share. And at the same time, it's kind of a good goal to be like, okay, I'm going to listen to you for a certain while, you know, like I'm not going to react so quickly. Because what happens if you don't react so quickly, then the other person has time to express themselves, feel into their body, express themselves a little bit more, maybe even has time to clear up something, you know, say like, oh, I said something. Maybe first they say, have some judgment and speak that out, and then later they're like, oh, it's actually not that, it's more like that and the other, right? Instead of, so you give that person time, or you get the time to kind of come over a wave, and then when they come out, so emotions, they have like this waveform, and they usually don't take longer than a maximum of 2 minutes or something. So if you give that person that time, then they will settle, and they will maybe not be less angry or whatever afterwards, and then they might even say like, and I also appreciate you for this, that and the other, right? So it's not so one-sided. Whereas if you react in the first 5 seconds, you don't even get the whole picture. You don't even let the other person kind of express the whole picture.
I have to say, you give them the best gift that you can bring to somebody, which is the gift of listening, you know? And when you give it to somebody, it's really appreciate that even unconsciously, and then he's more relaxed, and he can be also on your side, because you just you give him the chance to speak what is on his mind, you know, to relax, to express, to share. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Sean, about the price of hiding. Okay.
Yeah.
I have example, but we can say depression, lack of sleep. Do you have any more ideas?
Well, it starts with what when you hide, you know, or when you have unspoken things in the past or with people, these things don't go away, right? So you might be able to somehow repress them or shove it down, but it's still there somewhere. So your whole organism, there has to be some tension in your body. There has to be subtle inner tension and repression. So you're functioning at a suboptimal energy levels. You know, like you need all this energy to keep this inner experience at bay, and so you don't get to be so alive. And then depression and lack of sleep, of course, and general unhappiness or recurring emotional states, that like all these things can be an outcome of that.
I have to say that you said it really beautiful, like about the energy. Wow, how much energy is important. I remember when I started the Radical Honesty, and even before, a few months before, because when you register to a Radical Honesty workshop, you said to yourself, okay, I have to be honest right now. I have to be more honest. And I felt like I have more energy. I'm less tired. I have more energy because nobody can fight with the truth, you know?
Yeah.
I said it. I said what I believe. I said what I feel. And nobody died, you know? Nobody died, and everything is fine. And I feel more relaxed. I feel more free. I have more energy to do other meaningful things, you know?
Exactly.
But Yes. What did you want to say?
And that's actually also the reason why we do this completion work. We say, like, look, maybe you're not living with your parents anymore, and maybe this old friend of yours is not really in your life anymore, or your ex-partner. So you could be like, why would I have to talk to these people? You know, like I only see my parents twice a year at some like festivities, and I'm not seeing my ex-partner anymore. But the point is this: if you have this unfinished business with these people, this unfinished business drags on into your current life, you know? So you're doing the completion work for yourself. Maybe the relationship with that person that you're going back to and talking to will get better too, probably will. But it's mostly for your sake. And I think most everybody knows how we recreate similar relationship patterns, right? With our partners, with friends, with colleagues. We recreate patterns that are somehow not, so we recreate our unfinished business, right? So it's good.
In order to solve them, actually. Right?
You could say that, I don't know, like either to solve them or just because it's like our pattern that we haven't broken out of, you know, like.
For example, you will go out with somebody, and she will remind you somehow your mother.
Exactly.
And some like characters of your mother that was not good while you were a child, and you try to and you attract her to your life because you want to resolve this kind of issue.
You could see that or there's also the other way of seeing, like if you have a difficulty setting boundaries, saying no or being angry, right? Because in your childhood this was not welcome. Then in your current life situations, you will not have that capacity available, right? Because you will always kind of feel like a little child somehow, whether consciously or unconsciously. So if you go back to your parents and start expressing these things now from a different point, then you can experience yourself as a grown-up towards your parents, then these energies and these capacities will become available again, you know.
This what will be available?
I say capacity, so the capacity to saying no or to claiming your boundary.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Abilities, yes.
Okay, I want to share what is the price for me, the price of hiding.
Yeah.
You know, I told you that before, and we'll share it again. I had a depression after a breakup, and throughout my life, always when I had like a difficulty, I always like took her, like I always didn't share, and I tried to solve it myself, because everybody gives me advices, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to succeed. Everything will be fine. And then I was really in a big crisis, and still I didn't share with nobody. But it was really hard and was really painful. And I remember that I told my therapist that nobody knows about how much I'm in pain, how bad situation I am. And she really insisted, like I saw Brad in his book writes also for his passion, she also insisted for me to share with my closest ones, my family, everyone, that I'm going through some therapy, that I have some issues right now. And I remember, it was so beautiful, because I really had a challenge. It was really a challenge for me to start to share with everyone what's going on. And I remember once I started a bit to share with like my brother, and then this, the connections were so much stronger, so much stronger when you share like deep, big emotions or issues. Something like grows, something like you get such a cool, amazing connections. But my next question will be like, do we share with everyone? Are we honest with everyone? And the answer is no, we are not, right?
Well, it's your decision. Like in the optimal world, you would be more and more honest with everybody, right? But it's most important with your close ones. So when I speak about radical honesty, it's not a set of beliefs or a set of rules of what you should or should not do. It's more of how can you experience yourself differently, and how can you change your life and overcome certain things and get closer connections to your closest people, right? So it can be very beneficial also to share with the next person on the road. And it's mostly what we're aiming at is mostly more about your close relationships. That's where it's most important.
Okay, let's talk about pretending. Okay, because I'm also have the disease to please, and I pretend sometimes. Okay, so everybody will be calm, and there will be harmony. But I have to share with you some story. I was in a trip with some friends, and they invited a new guy, which was nice. A trip in the nature. I was open for everything, and the other guy was so rude, was so like like a mean person, rude and mean. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, he's a stranger, nobody knows him, so I'm extra nice, okay, extra nice. But then he comes so rude and so like mean and so like and I almost didn't react. I always like, no, I want to be harming. I don't want to fight right now in front of everyone. I want to be calm. It's not fair for my friend. He organized this. I don't want to When I came back home, I was really in distress, I was really in pain. I felt mad about myself, angry. Why didn't you talk? Why did you let him da. So I'm saying there is a price for your silence, and there is a price for your being a candidate, okay? Yes, there is a price for that. So that I'm sharing this story because, pretending, we can pretend sometimes, there are some situations when you pretend, as long as you're aware of it. And you even share. That's I remember from the workshop. Even if you share, for let's say, let's say you have a bad day today, but you don't want to. But you're going to a wedding or whatever, and you don't want to. And you don't want to be. And listen, I want to. I'm very sad. You want to be happy for the other person, because listen, I don't feel so good right now. I'm aware of it. I'm sharing it, but. Although I am right now and not so happy, I want to pretend today to be happy for you. It's possible.
It's possible, yeah. If you pretend all the time, you'll have a problem, right? If you pretend here and there a little bit, just because it makes your life easier, but you have enough space and enough relationship where you can share honestly, then you won't have a problem. It's great that we are able to pretend. It's like a survival skill, right? And we learn as children to pretend, and that's completely fine. As children, we have a great time. We pretend to be a dinosaur or, I don't know, a cowboy or whatever. But we stop pretending immediately when we don't want to anymore. And so pretending isn't a great skill. It's just that when it becomes automated, when we don't even notice anymore that we're pretending, and when we're pretending in our closest relationships, and as you said, like even though depressed and in therapy and still pretending that everything is fine, you're like, that's really not healthy for us, right? So while you might be angry at the bus driver, you can still pretend to be friendly because you don't have the time to actually have a deeper conversation with him, and you don't want to make his day bad, and maybe you know that it's just about you, and but still somewhere you'll have to let go of that anger. So then maybe at least tell your partner or a good friend, saying, I'm so angry at that bus driver, and in close relationships it doesn't help to pretend, right? Because what happens if you pretend is that you drift apart. You're not really in contact. You're not really in touch anymore. So that's also this wonderful experience at a workshop, a radical honesty workshop, or even at a 2-hour meetup, is that a bunch of maybe strangers get together, and after a little bit of time of sharing more openly, you might feel so connected, maybe even more connected than to many of your friends. And that happens when you share honestly, and then your whole nervous system, your body relaxes, because you're like, hey, I don't have to pretend in front of these people, so I can just be me. That is a super healthy, super good state for your body. And then from this, creativity can come up, and energy can come up, and also like challenging things can come up, like emotions that you had repressed before might come up once you start loosening up. So it's not always an easy ride, right? But it's much more alive, and it's the way to, you could even say, the way to healing. Yeah?
We lie to protect ourselves, right?
That's right. It's all right that we're lying. As you said, those are the protective mechanisms that we've learned. And so you can be also gentle with yourself and say, like, look, this is how I am right now. You don't have to create a new rule of honesty and truth to beat yourself up with. And at the same time, you can start trying to be a little more honest and see whether that is beneficial for you. It might be more challenging. Relationships might get a little more intense. And at the same time, it might also be more rewarding, more connectful, more alive. So
especially
yeah.
Close relationship, right? Close
Exactly.
connection. I don't see how can you have a close, meaningful relationship without being honest.
Exactly.
Now you said about sorry, you wanted to...
No. So I just wanted to finalize saying that you can appreciate that your mechanisms, which your masks that you wear, and your protective mechanisms that include lying, are there for a reason, and at the same time you can try to step out of them a little bit,
I want you said about being more honest in your daily life with your closest ones, and let's share how can you be more honest. There is exercise that says in the workshop, from the workshop, is sometimes I pretend. This exercise I will just read. Share with a friend everything that comes to mind. Use the phrasing, sometimes I pretend X when really I am Y.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the sensations in your body. Notice which ones were more difficult for you to share. Okay, so this is a drill that everybody can use in their daily life, right? Sometimes I pretend.
Yeah, you can say, sometimes I pretend that I'm happy when actually I'm sad. This would be the standard way. And you can say, yesterday I pretended that I wanted to have sex when actually I was already tired. And you can do the same thing with the person that is in front of you. Right now I'm pretending that I still want to listen to you when actually my mind is drifting off, or something like that.
It's so funny to say to somebody, yesterday we had sex, but I didn't really want to do it. That's really mean. But maybe you can add, I'm also scared that I will hurt you right now because I'm saying that, but this is how I feel.
Exactly. So sometimes the pretend is like you could even make it into a game for a party, you know, and just sharing your pretenses is a good way of relating, because somehow we notice if somebody's pretending, you know, like maybe we don't quite are able to point our finger on it, but we still kind of notice that something is not right, you know. And so when you then say, look, I was just pretending to be working, and in reality, like I'm preoccupied with a conversation I just had, you know, that's very how would you say, relieving for the other person too, to be like, okay, so that's what's happening. Okay, so that's why I was just noticing this and the other, you know.
You said something really important. You know, I had a friend, a good friend, that we were really distant in the last few years, because I wasn't 100% honest. I wasn't honest, and I hide a lot of stuff. And when she asked, I didn't answer, or I lied, or whatever, and she felt it, and we grew apart, you know.
Yeah.
But the 2 last years, you know, since the Corona, the COVID, we were really close, because I started to share purposely, you know. I started to share honestly, and she told me, really, it was really, she knew I'm pretending, she knew I'm lying, you know. She, even if she couldn't, like, people know when you lie, people know when you pretend, they feel it, you know, they feel it. When you're completely honest, you can see it on the other, when the other one is really honest, you can see it on his face, on his body, everything.
So even if you share something that might be challenging for the other person, like that you don't like something about the other person, for example, or that you're still angry at this, that's still better for your relationship in the long run than withholding it. If you withhold, you just grow apart, because it's still there. And like the extreme example of that is like being passive aggressive, right? Or kind of doing things around the back, or talking bad about a person to other people. So if you're angry, or if you have, like, your emotions, they're coming out no matter what, you know. And so what we try to do is just be more straightforward and speak these things to the person that where this belongs to, you know, not just to the therapist or you know.
You know, you remind me of some story. I just been to Norway. I traveled to Norway, and a friend told me there is something really amazing. He told me, if you hide from your partner secrets, you know, if you hide secrets, eventually you will think she's stupid. You know? Eventually, and for me, it makes so much sense, because when you hide something, like you have a secret and the other person don't know, and you continue with his lies, and the other person is really clueless. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You eventually unconsciously you think, okay, this person is a moron. You know, like not moron, but is stupid. How like really, like, how can you not know? You know.
That's interesting. I'm now thinking of the politicians here in Austria. We have this party where a couple of politicians were really doing messy business, you know, and it's like big right now. And I'm thinking that they maybe think that the population and everybody else is just stupid and they can do whatever they want, you know. If we start being more honest, then that will kind of filter up, and then in all walks of life there can be more honesty. Of course, it would be so beneficial for our businesses and our politics and for the whole world to be more honest. But we have to start with ourselves and start with our close relationships. And also maybe in work, it's also good to be more honest. So with your team and stuff. So start where you're at and start with yourself. There's a good reason why people are lying, as we said before, like even if they're not aware of it, like even the politicians, they have you could call it a good reason, you know. It's not okay, you know. I'm not gonna say it's okay, and at the same time, it comes from somewhere, you know. Like you're growing into a system, and maybe the whole reason why you're a politician, you could question that too, you know. Like, why do you want that power, and these things.
Mm-hmm. I want to share also about the price of hiding, because it's really important. When you hide, I think, continue to what you say, when you hide and you're alone with your lies or whatever, you are very alone, you know. You feel very alone, and this is really also dangerous, you know, when you're hiding some important information from other people, you feel alone, and this is also the price that you pay. I want to talk about another really great exercise that we have from the radical honesty, which is I ask for everything I want day.
There's like, we have an agreement actually that says ask for what you want, right? And you can make an exercise out of it that for a certain amount of time you ask for what you want, and the other person checks in with themselves and says yes or no. And so that's also something more truthful, to really go out there and say what you want, right?
I think it's really important, because then you connect yourself more, because many of us, including myself, we're not always like, I want this or I want this. You know, you always want to please. You want everybody to be happy and everything be fine, and nobody will get mad or whatever. But
well, because we learn also in childhood, we learn that asking directly for what we want might be dangerous. We might not get what we want, and
people will laugh at us
or be told off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then over time we learn like strategies to get what we want without directly asking, you know, like being nice to a person so they're nice back, or helping somebody out and then expecting them to help us out in return. Now that doesn't mean that helping or being nice are bad traits. It's just sneaky if you actually do it to get something. So what we want to do is get also more clean, more clear. Like if you want something, state it directly and clearly. Don't use back way strategies to get things. And then, because if you use these strategies, then if you don't get what you wanted, and you didn't say that clearly, and then you might get angry and might be resentful and disappointed, because you didn't get what you want, but you never said it, you know. So it's like you're at fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will just read a bit of the I ask for everything I want day. I spend a day trying to consciously verbalize everything that you want. Be specific in language and use statement and request. First, make a statement: I would like / I want, followed by a request. Are you willing to do that with me? Mm-hmm. Will you do that with me? Okay, so this is, I think it's really amazing exercise, because then you're connected to yourself more. Like I said, you know what you want. You 1 day a week, when you share whatever you want. I want to rest right now. I want to go to this film. I want to watch this. You know, when you express that, you know, we just talked about a couple that the man was always like passive. You know, everything that the wife wants, he says yes, you know, everything yes. He never like, let's go do this, let's he never initiate. He always like follow, you know. And she got really like depressed, or like because she doesn't have any like contradiction. Yeah. So the therapist worked with him to work on what I want, you know. I want to start to say more I want, or I like. You know, we almost finished our episode, and before we finish, I would like to talk about, like, you know, like something big, which I think is really amazing from radical honesty. We talked about a bit about it last week, about nudity, right? Nudity, which I think it's really amazing. And my theory is, and you can elaborate, is when you really like naked in front of people, you know, as a child or as a grown up, you're not so you don't have so much body issues, you know. In Israel, I don't know if you know it, but we are not so, like in the US, we are very influenced from the US. We hide ourselves a lot.
Okay.
We don't have, like in Germany or Austria and Europe, like saunas when you go naked and everything. No, we don't.
I actually have a sauna tonight. Like I have an honesty meetup, and afterwards we'll all go into the sauna.
Wow, that's awesome. Naked, completely.
Of course, you go into the sauna naked.
Of course, Wednesday naked in sauna. So for us, it's not obvious at all, you know.
Yeah,
so, but in the workshop of radical honesty, the long one, there is
8-day workshop.
Something really cool about nudity, which is really big, and including myself, it's still challenging for me to even think about. But one friend that talked about it, how this experience really changed him, you know. She said that they they have always like, they had some body issues. They didn't think they are beautiful enough. They didn't think this is good enough. This one is bad enough. So when they had the workshop and they stand naked in front of the other people in the workshop, and they talked and everybody else is naked, suddenly you're like, okay, I don't look so bad. Nobody reacted nobody reacted mean towards me or something. And also actually should you compare? I don't know, but compared to the other ones, I look pretty good, So
it's fine to compare. Why not? Like the whole thing is, it's a normalizing experience. It's like, okay, like I might have a little bit of a belly, but the other person also has a little bit of a belly, or like, and then you also find out like, I'm happy about this part of my body, not so much about this part of, or I like this more, like. And other people might be completely different. Somebody might want like to be thinner. The other one wants more weight. One person wants bigger breasts. The other person wants smaller breasts. So it's kind of an interesting normalizing experience to see how we all think so strangely about bodies, And then when you're standing naked in front of people, like you might get hot and blush and everything, and then you settle again. It's also an experience that comes and goes, So the more often you just experience that, the less of a challenge it is. That's why if you regularly go to sauna, then your body issues reduce. I mean, I'm not saying that they might drop away completely, but they reduce. And so at the 8-day workshop, this naked work also works on this. Like if you just see more naked people, if you're in front of people, and if you then also talk about yourself and your body, all this is challenging, but you can get over it. And once you get over it, your relationship to yourself and your body changes.
This is so important what you're saying right now, because think about children's, okay, or like teenagers in Israel. When the only like naked people that they see, it's maybe in porn or in social networks,
Yeah, right.
Or what the fuck are they going to, like this is one of the most horrible things, and
and of course these bodies that you then see in advertisement or in porn, I mean, these are particularly beautiful specimen of the human animal, right? I mean, they train and they do like all these actors that have six packs and look like Hercules, I mean, it's their job to look like that. So they spend all this time and they eat like maybe bad or whatever, like, I mean, but that's not really representation, like also you don't know how these people look in the moment they don't make a movie, right? If they don't have all the makeup on, if they don't did a certain kind of fasting in the weeks before, they might look very different from how they look on the screen. So these are not good bodies to compare yourself with.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is that this workshop and saunas and all of this, to be more in front of other people, other naked people, calms you down about your body issues. I really believe that. So we are almost finishing, and Sean, that was amazing conversation, and thank you again for this lovely conversation. But before we end, I want to ask you a question that I ask every guest that I have. But we talked about it a bit, about your routine, right? Your routine. Yes, morning routine, evening routine, for your body, for your soul, for your mental issues.
Yeah. So I already told you last time around that currently I'm not so strict with my routine. I used to do 2 hours of yoga every morning and 30 minutes of meditation every evening. And currently I'm a little bit more lenient. I imagine because a lot of these things that I know that are good for me have kind of been integrated, and I just use them when I need them. So I have a bit of a difficulty to talk about routine. Like
you talked about cold showers.
Yes, so I don't have like I take cold showers in the morning.
I think it's one of the most amazing. I do it also, by the way. But how long do you take your cold showers?
You mean the time?
Yes.
Since when, or
No,
how long do I?
How long do you shower with cold water?
Well, only a minute, so not so long.
So you go inside the shower in the morning and you just put it on the coldest water there is?
I start with warm. I personally like first the warm and then the cold. Some people are hardcore and they start cold immediately, I mean, not. I like to shower warm and just finish off cold.
And it's really like finishing up like the coldest water, or?
I do the coldest, which here in Austria is pretty cold. Yeah.
How cold, you know?
I think here it's 14 degrees, which is not really like ice water, but it's still pretty cold.
Yes. Okay. That's amazing. I do it like I think for 3 years I do cold showers.
That's good.
It's one of the best things that I think somebody can do. Like in the morning, it doesn't matter how you feel when you go to the cold shower. You just do you have a timer or do you put some music or you just
right now I don't do a timer. When I started doing cold showers, I did the timer. So I started 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. You know, it's nice. Like so, when you start, it's good to have a timer. Yeah.
Why? Absolutely. I also started like a bit, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, everything with small steps. So, Sean, thank you again so much. Really, about radical honesty, where people can watch, listen to you more, or to be part of radical honesty workshops.
Well, you find my offers on seanspeak.net. You know, I guess you're going to write that in the description also. There you can find my workshops, my online offers, also my meditations and my music. And on radicalhonesty.com, you can find all the workshops from all the different trainers that are happening and all the online offers too.
Perfect. I will put all the information also in the episode. Sean, thank you again. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that listened to this episode. Thank you. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast. Like I said, it helps others to find it. Thanks, and I will see you next week. Bye.